Today I'll be making a sweet and cinnamony pastry from the Dutch province Zeeland. Zeeuwse Bolussen are a pastry that is rolled in a brown sugar and cinnamon mixture and baked to golden perfection. They go great with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and are very easy to make at home. Hi, I'm Toine and welcome to my kitchen. If you're new to this channel, I focus on cooking foods from my home country, the Netherlands, and some of its former colonies such as Indonesia. The last time I visited the Netherlands, I met up with someone from my team of my real job, you know, the one where I deal with spreadsheets and not spatulas. He lives in Zeeland and introduced me to Zeeuwse Bolussen. One bite and I was hooked, and I knew my wife would love them too. So when I got home, I researched recipes and made my own version, and that's what we're making together. To make the Bolussen dough, you will need 325 grams of all-purpose flour, 200 milliliters of milk, 55 grams of egg, it's about one large egg, 40 grams of butter, 18 grams of sugar, 7 grams of yeast, and 6 grams of salt. To make the bolus suiker, the sugar and cinnamon mixture that you coat the bolussen with, you will need 475 grams of brown sugar, 21 grams of ground cinnamon, and the zest of 1 lemon. I have heated up my milk to 43 degrees Celsius, 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to add my yeast. Even though this is instant yeast, I like doing this because it also shows me that the yeast is still active, so I don't end up with a dud. All right, we're gonna let this sit 5 to 10 minutes. The yeast has started bubbling up, or is bubbling. There's a nice layer of foam on top. I hope you can see that. So now we're ready to make the dough. First, I'm going to mix in the sugar and the salt to the flour and just stir it around. Make sure it's all incorporated. I'm going to add this to my mixer. Going to add my egg. Gonna move the mixer. Attach the dough hook. And we're just gonna start the mixer. You want to do this on low so that you don't have a big cloud of flour in your face. And while it's going, I'm going to pour in my milk and yeast mixture. Make sure you get it all. We're going to let this mix for 8 to 10 minutes. You may have to scrape the bowl down to make sure that all the flour gets incorporated. The dough is coming together, so I'm going to slowly add my room temperature butter to the mixture. I'm going to just use my spatula to get everything off the sides and the bottom of the bowl before I add more butter. Okay, I'm gonna add the rest of the butter. Now that all the butter is incorporated, I'm gonna let this run for another 3 to 4 minutes. This is done kneading, so it is a sticky dough, so it's normal that it sticks to the dough hook. Just scrape it off. And let me get the bowl off the mixer. I'm going to cover this bowl with a damp towel. I'm going to put this in a warm spot for an hour for its first rise. We're not quite at the end of our 1 hour of the dough rising, but we're going to start making the sugar mixture. I'm going to put the brown sugar and the cinnamon in a bowl. And let me give that a quick mix. I love the smell of cinnamon. Going to zest the lemon. Make sure you just do the yellow and not get any of the pith or the white. because that is bitter. By adding the lemon zest, you're adding a little brightness to this earthy cinnamon and sweet sugar flavor. It's not overpowering, it's not the first thing you taste, but I find that adding the lemon zest does make a difference. So not every recipe does it, but I like to do it. Love the smell of lemon too. And we're going to mix that through again. Just make sure that your sugar mixture has one kind of uniform color. That way you know that the cinnamon and the sugar are thoroughly mixed. And you'll see little specks of yellow in there from the lemon zest. Yeah, that looks good. I'll be back in a few minutes when the first rise is done. The dough has finished rising for an hour, and while it isn't exactly doubled, it has risen quite a bit. So we are going to deflate it. Clearly my yeast works. It's still active. And we're going to take it out of the bowl. But first, I'm going to flour my workspace a little bit, because it is a little bit of a sticky dough. I'm going to divide this into 12 even pieces. Now I know that this is about 650 grams, so divided by 12 is 54 grams. So we're gonna just, that's 44, that's 55, 54. We're gonna roll this into a ball and then roll the ball through the sugar. And we're going to put all the balls of dough into another bowl. Okay. Okay, I'm going to roll the ball through the sugar. I'm also just making sure there's a nice layer of sugar on there. And again, it goes into this bowl. I'm going to finish making my dough balls with the rest of the dough, and then we'll move on to the next step. I hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please click the like and subscribe button. It will really help our channel. And if you want YouTube to notify you whenever we post a new video, click the bell. Okay, we're at the last dough ball. Move this to the side. We're going to cover this with the damp towel and let this sit for about 15 minutes. The balls of dough have rested and I have my workspace all set up. My bowl of sugar and cinnamon, 2 cookie sheets lined with parchment paper. I have covered my cutting board in a damp flour sack towel, and I have 2 more, well, including this one, damp towels that I'm going to cover the finished bolussen with. Okay, so I'm going to put sugar on the damp towel. Not all of it at once. Oops. And now we're going to take the ball of dough and roll it back and forth into a long sliered ribbon, rope, and just roll and go out with your hands to stretch it out. Make sure that you have sugar on all of it. You don't want the rope to be too thick, because then the bolussen will get too large when you roll them up. Okay, I think this is pretty good. So now we are going to take the end between our thumb and index finger and roll this around. And then we're going to take the bottom end, stick it in there, and flatten it out. And now put it on my cookie sheet, and I'm going to do the next one. Just start rolling it in the sugar, and the damp towel kind of keeps the sugar from shifting all over, and actually the moisture also helps the sugar stick to the dough. Let's make the next one. turn it around or roll it around itself. And then we're going to take the end, tuck it. And when I say flatten out, it's really push down that center that comes up and you tuck the end back in from the bottom. All right, I'm going to keep doing this. And when you feel that you don't have enough sugar, you can add some more sugar to your workspace here. But for now, I'm still good. So when you are wrapping it, you want to make sure it stays as flat as possible. You don't want to turn it into a cone or even into kind of the traditional cinnamon roll that is, taller in the center. So like this again. So I use the length of my cutting board and we'll put that length right here as kind of the guideline for how long I want this rope of dough to be. And this is the last one I can roll before I add more sugar. All right, I'm going to add some more sugar. You will not use all of the sugar most likely when making this, but I find that if I make less, I don't have enough to really roll them in. But you won't use all of it. Whatever you don't use, you can keep and use for the next time you make them. And once you've tasted these, you're going to make them quite often, I think. I'm going to finish the last 6 and then we'll be back. Okay, I have finished rolling the bolussen. I'm going to cover them with the damp towel and put them in a warm place to rise for 60 minutes. And while that's happening, I'm going to clean up the dishes and the counter. I'll see you when they're done. While the bolussen were rising, I preheated my oven to 250 degrees Celsius, 480 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to take the towels off. You can see they've risen a little bit, and we are going to put these in for 7 to 8 minutes. This will burn very easily because of the sugar, so pay close attention to it. All right, I'll see you when they're done. While the bolus are in the oven, grab another cookie sheet and line it with parchment paper. We're going to use that once the bolus come out of the oven. Let me show you a quick trick, and that is cover them up with parchment paper, put another cookie sheet on top of it, and then, let's hope this works, flip them over. And what this does is let the molten sugar kind of reabsorb into the bolus. So leave this sheet on top of it for about 5 minutes before you remove it. It's been 5 minutes, time to remove the cookie sheet. All right. And now I have to peel off the top layer of parchment paper. All right, on this second sheet that I already removed the top from, you can see that some of that melted sugar basically, in this case it fell next to it, but some of it fell on top of the boluses. Now we're going to let these completely cool before we eat them. Now we get to my favorite part, that is trying the food. Eet Smakelijk. The inside is nice and fluffy, and because the sugar has cooled off, the outside has a bit of a crunch from the sugar. The cinnamon flavor is so prominent, and then a little bit of sweetness from the sugar. It tastes really good. This goes great with either a cup of coffee or tea, or even spread a little butter on it and eat it for breakfast. You can see the swirls still in here, even though I've taken a bite out of it. These are definitely one of our favorite treats, and I'm very happy that someone introduced me to these. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like and subscribe button and don't forget to share it with your friends. If you have any questions about the recipe or memories of eating bolussen, please post them in the comments below. I'll put the written recipe on my website, toineskitchen.com, in both metric and imperial measurements, and you can find me on social media as well. If you make a bolus from my recipe, I would love it if you can take a photo and post it on Instagram with the hashtag ToinesKitchen. I will share it in my story and on my website. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.